Elden Ring has been out for the past week, and I have played it for the past week. At the time of recording this video, of course. I have not beaten it, but I want to talk about it. Very, very bad. I know I play a lot of Genshin on this channel, but I do play other things than gacha games, and Elden Ring is one of them. It's the thing I've been waiting for the most actually to play the DLC. And I have not currently, at the time of recorded, beating it. However, there are some things I want to talk about. Specifically just my experience and what I found, liked, disliked. And for people who are doing a playthrough currently or haven't started yet, the only things we will be talking about and will be shown on screen is one of the first areas and the beginning areas. I will only talk about the first 3 bosses you could really encounter. 2 of them are required to beat the game, 1 of them is optional, which is the one you will see on screen later. Other than that, I don't really have a script, to be honest. I don't really have like any lingering thoughts. I just kind of see my footage, what I've recorded, and just kind of talk about what I like and don't like. It's not really like a massive debate video if Elden Ring DLC is too hard or too easy, or the weapons or suck or whatever online debate. It's just my experiences and the experience of you guys in the comments if you would love to share it. I would love to read your funny moments, your boss experience, your oh shit I did this or I realized that. It's always funny to see the journey of a fellow Elden Ring player. So before we jump into the whole experience and me telling you what I've done and the way how I've done it, I want to show you guys my build, because a lot of my experience in Elden Ring comes from my build, the way I decided to play the game and the way how I feel comfortable playing it, especially my first time around, which I did not know where everything is, where certain weapons, where certain spells, when or what will be accessible to me, etc. So as you can see, this right here is my build. My main weapon, believe it or not, is the Lord's Sword, Straight Sword, believe it's called, with fire affinity. I have a lot of strength and a lot of dex, which if I would pick either one of the 2, I would have 99 in, but I didn't. Also, I reminded myself as I was recording this, my stats are actually not accurate in this screenshot right here, because I on accident activated Godric's Great Rune, so you should decrease 5 from each stat. So here on screen are what my actual stats look like. So why is my build like this, you may ask? Well, my build was kind of survivability. Like, I knew the weapon I wanted to play was Straight Sword. I like Straight Sword. I beat Dark Souls 3 with Straight Sword only pretty much. So it's a weapon I am most comfortable with. And I've tried pretty much every single weapon in the game for a period of time. Even in Dark Souls 3, when I played it for the first time. Straight Sword and Shield is just a combo I like the most. But I knew from Dark Souls 3, I would not be putting out a lot of damage. So I made my build to be very tanky, survivable. I need to survive the longer fights because I'm not gonna put out a lot of damage to begin with. This worked pretty well for the main game until I got into the mid game, I would say, when my Straight Sword really started to fail me because I also didn't really put the right stats into. I pretty much leveled strength without really knowing anything for the future. So I decided to get a bit of online help, if you will. I played Elden Ring blind the first time, completely blind. Like, I was not gonna Google anything. However, I so happened to see a Xbox party full of people talking about Elden Ring and just enjoying themselves, so I decided to join. And I showed them this problem, and I said I wanted to equip a second weapon. What is a good weapon? And the guy said, Rivers of Blood, which is why it's in here. It's pretty much my damage dealing weapon. The weapon that deals, I would say, the most damage because of bleed. Where my normal straight sword has Bloodhound Step on it. It has Fire Affinity and Bloodhound Step. So I have my normal Lord's Thorn straight sword, where I'm really good with. I know the timing with how fast I am. And with Bloodhound Step, I'm even faster to dodge attacks. However, I do not have any damage output, or very little. Where Rivers of Blood, I don't have that speed, I don't have that knowledge of how my timing is, even though it's quite the same, I would say. However, I do have bleed, so I do a lot of damage eventually, because the bleed is gonna trigger. I have, you know, a normal shield. I think it's the best mid shield in the game, which was also totally an accident. And I got some Dragon Communions and some spells. I don't really use my spells that often, but I just have some of it because I needed it. I needed the stats pretty much to run Rivers of Blood, and the faith comes from when I fought Fire Giant for the first time. I was so done with him, I just decided to get the Dragon Rod spell and just kill him that way, cause fuck that guy. And I decided, fuck it, I'm not gonna rework my build and leave those faith stats and put it into something else. Because with other spells like Flame Grant Me Strength, the Rod Breath, and just so many other utility spells like Great Heal and stuff like that, it was just kind of worth it to just keep the Faith and Arcane around. My armor is actually a bit different than what you will see in the clips, because it's actually the top half, the helmet and the chest piece, are armor I took from a boss in the DLC, which I will be talking about. I use a set, I don't know what it's called, it's on screen right now. So that's why this is my current build after already playing through most of the DLC. My talismans haven't really changed. I don't really have any OP talismans. It's more like, you know, I just have HP, stamina, I believe, like erdtree favor, just your base stats increase, equipment load increase so that I could carry all that heavy armor, physical damage negation, because I really didn't have anything else. All the OP talismans are kind of locked behind quest lines that I can't really do anymore, because on my first playthrough I did not complete them. And yeah, fuck New Game Plus. I'm not going through New Game Plus just to get like one talisman to make my build a bit more optimized, because why would I? And then we have a talisman that reduces skill cost so that I could pretty much spam Bloodhound Step and my Rivers of Blood skill reliably. That's also why I have so much mind, by the way, because they're pretty much part of the build. They're part of me. It is, what main weapon do I pick? Do I pick the straight sword to have more speed, or do I pick Rivers of Blood to have more damage? I kind of wanted to explain this because a lot of my experience are from this build, which during the boss segment you will definitely figure out what I mean by this. Not because I use a build that is not popular, like, let's be real, this is pretty much a one-of-a-kind build. And my last note on my build, if you will, is I say that my build is trash all the time, but I've played co-op with you guys. I played co-op with the Eldenring community. I don't know if I played co-op with you, but I played co-op with people who had absolutely awful builds. Like, I have played co-op with people who have builds that I don't even want to go into, and they say that they cannot beat the game. Like, no shit, Sherlock. I put some on screen. They're absolutely awful. They get one shot and they're crying that they cannot beat the game. Like, bro, get yourself a good build, or get yourself a build you're comfortable with playing. That's my final message, to be honest, now that I think about it. Get yourself a build you are comfortable with. Get yourself a build, even if it's not the one that puts out the most damage. Just get yourself one you can beat the game with. Get yourself one you know for sure only you can get the most out of this build. Only you could use this to its fullest potential to beat the game. That is the most important part of a build. Having said that, it is now time to move on to the DLC. Looking back at my footage, the first steps for the DLC were not anything different. I get the message that there's a new inventory feature. I teleport to Moog. I talk to this person, which name I've completely forgotten. I touch Nicula? I touch this thing's hand and I see a loading screen. Then, you awaken. You kind of look around, you move outside, and you see the big tree for the first time. Nothing crazy. We have seen this in the trailer already. I wasn't really surprised. I get the grace. I look around for a bit and then start to do very normal stuff, I would say. I just check around, read some item descriptions, fight some enemies, explore literally the first town right in front of you. I just walk around, look around, get the chest, get a talisman that is completely useless to me, get the map, look around the map. Everybody has done this. Then I get to this guy, this massive fire guy we all saw in the trailer, and I was excited. I thought, holy shit, we're gonna get like world bosses in a way, how you have in The Legend of Zelda, where you have like these massive enemies like Hinoxes and Lynels that pop up, that just kind of live there. You could fight for rare materials. We're kind of gonna have that in the game, because I felt like it was very obvious when a boss was somewhere, or they would kind of just appear out of nowhere. You could just run away. So there wasn't really any engagement, or they were all dragons. Like every single boss I fought in the open world was either a guy on a horse or a dragon, which it was not a lot of variation. So I was excited. And yeah, we all know how this ended, because fuck this guy. I'm not even gonna like spend any time on this. Yeah, I died. We all know how this ended. We all did this. We all died a few times. So I did not even waste my time anymore. For the rest of the DLC, I kind of see these guys as unkillable threats that you kind of have to find your way around rather than force your way through. So that is exactly what I did. I decided to simply walk around the grass field and see what items I could loot. I looted a new item, some of the new weapons, killed some guys, tried out the new weapon, thought it was cool as fuck, fought some more new enemies, in particularly these stone bird thingies, and made my way over to Nicula's Cross, the first one you most likely encounter. And this is where I learned about the level up system in the game. The erdtree blessing, if I say that correct. I have a lot to say about this personally, because this is the mechanic that makes the DLC the DLC. The topic of the game is too hard, it is too easy, it is whatever, it all comes from this. And personally, I like it. In a way. It is hard to really put my thoughts into words right now, because I haven't thought about it that much, because the more you play the DLC and the more places you are trying to go by exploring the map, the less of an inconvenience this gets, because you can get more before the next required main boss you have to defeat. However, in the beginning of the game, when most of the big parts of the map are blocked off, at least what I thought, finding these is very difficult, because there are only a few of them, and they're not even all around Nicula's Crosses. They're pretty much scattered throughout. Nicula's Crosses just give you enough to kind of barely make it through. You really get the ones that you need to be overpowered or a bit more powerful than the boss by really exploring every inch of the map. And I don't know. I like that because it definitely makes you want to explore the entire DLC and not just run through it. Because let's be real, eldenring players have been doing that a lot for the past 2 years, where we just absolutely destroyed the game by using bleed, frost, whatever the fuck, one-shotting bosses or doing them in a few minutes. So this is definitely a way for the developers to tell us, play our game and not just speedrun it. However, for people like me who didn't really had a big damage dealing build that could speedrun through the game like that, this is kind of a massive hindrance. It really makes the game hard for us because my build was made onto tanking all of these hits, tanking the attacks of these great lords pretty much by being a high level. However, that is not something I can do anymore because of these seeds, which really, I don't know, made my build pointless pretty much because I could still get 3 shot pretty much, 3 hits, and I was pretty much dead from any boss. That's the only problem I really have with it, that the bosses are just so insanely strong and do so much damage. It makes Malenia look like a joke, which is something I will get into later. Other than that, I do think it's a good way to balance it out. However, they could have done something different in my opinion, or just make it that these seeds are kind of more accessible, because these bosses really don't take any damage and really 3-shot you. But now with this new knowledge in mind, I decided to go to see the map and kind of see where to go. I saw the map and I saw that I could either go right or left. I decided to go left to the Great Castle place, which, spoiler alert, is a side area. However, like we just discussed, having side areas means getting more powerful, and being more powerful allows you to beat bosses easier, so doing it was definitely fun but also very useful. I make my way to the stairs and through the grate, and seeing this footage really makes me appreciate how good these games look and what From Software can really make if they put their mind to it. Like, this is most likely my favorite area of all time because it is so unique in the Soul, not even in the Soul series, but in Elden Ring's context. It looks so different from anything we've ever encountered, where the other places also look very unique, but still kind of the same vibe, you know what I mean? When we get to these areas, I will try and find a area in the base game that it reminds me of, or the feeling of actually going through it. But this was the first area that I have encountered so far when I've been playing the DLC that really felt unique, and that's why this area is my favorite and I want to talk about it the most. So we go into like this ancient temple where we also find our first Spirit Ash blessing. It's pretty much the same as your normal blessings, only for your Spirit Ashes, which, another point of discussion, don't like shame people for using their Spirit Ashes. Don't do that. If you do that, you're cringe. The game was made with Spirit Ashes in mind. I don't even believe for a second that the developers, if they would play the game, would not use Spirit Ashes. I think they fully intended for us to use pretty much the Mimic Deer everywhere, in every single boss. I do not even doubt for a second it was never the intention to not pretty much give us the Mimic Deer for free, because let's be real, it's really easy to get it. They knew that we'll need such a thing. So don't say that players are weak or less because they use the Mimic Deer, or any Spirit Ashes for that matter, because the game was designed to use them, to use such items. To my favorite area, we fight these scorpions, And then we just kind of move up the stair, kill a bigger scorpion. And then we go to the tower. I cannot pronounce these names as it is very late. However, this is the part I thought was sick. The music in this place, the whole vibe of it was just awesome to me. To be honest, I'm just gonna let this next clip play for a moment, which is just me walking around. That's all it is. It's just me walking around and just feel the environment for a bit. I picked up these boluses, which I believe are sleeping boluses, so that you don't get affected by sleep. So I immediately assumed this was gonna be the sleep level, which it wasn't, but hey, at least we find them here. What I also kind of liked of this area, it's something I haven't touched upon, but these shadow people we fight for pretty much most of the first half of the game are quite peculiar to me. They interest me very much because what are they? Because you see them pretty much everywhere in the beginning and they're never really explained, at least to my knowledge they're not. And I have tried to find the answer in game without looking at spoilers, of course. And I haven't really found anything, but in this area they looked like people from this civilization, this ancient civilization with its own religion and its whole ecosystem pretty much that was just disconnected from the rest of the lands of the shadows and the lands between as a whole. They felt like this was a place that was long forgotten by everybody. And I soon came to learn that that hypothesis might be correct. Making my way through the city and the thousands of shadow people, I find the first clue of the main villain of this DLC. We all know that the main villain of this DLC is called Mesmer, if I say that correct. And you see so much of this guy through item descriptions, even before you meet him and fight him in his boss fight. You see him in the trailers all the time, but there's so much like this item, Mesmer's Flame. It is such a cool item because it is one of many items that describe him and his ambition and his goal. Or not even his goal, because what his goal is kind of unexplained to my knowledge at least. It will probably be explained. But for now it's kind of this mystery to me, like what does he want to achieve? He's just this very menacing figure that you'll read everywhere and hear everywhere up at this point. His name is everywhere. Having successfully made my way to the city, or at least most parts of it, I find this door, which, of course, in any good Souls game, you cannot open. However, keep this door in mind because it's very important to the lore of this place. Going forward, I find this very peculiar knight that if you know who this guy is on screen, then you know exactly what is about to happen next. I did not have any commentary on this footage, but as you can see, I tried to backstab him and it went horribly wrong. I tried to fight him, which, it goes as well as any other fight. I just wake my way through. However, this guy has dual greatswords. And look how fast he is. Like, look at this man. He is like twice our size and he's wielding these greatswords like they're nothing. Like, if these are normal enemies, I was very scared for the bosses because they hold absolutely nothing back in this DLC. Every single main enemy or like more dangerous enemy than Shadow Man or Random Bird number 37 is such a beast of an enemy, and this guy is just one of many to come. As I make my way through the city, I found this key, the storage room key. And do you guys all remember that door I just talked about? Well, you're my viewer, so of course you do, because you all are very smart. I went back to every single locked door I found and tried to open them all with this key. And eventually I found this old lady that told me a lot. And yes, I am crouching because I'm just hearing breathing, and I was very scared that something would kill me, because I thought that would happen. And there we have his name again, Mesmar. This old lady was not very friendly. However, in the future, after you beat the boss, and after you beat Mesmar, which is way later and I don't have any footage of, she will actually be grateful to you and give you a gift. Because apparently what the old lady told me, or what I got from it at least, is that Mesmar burned the city to a crisp with his flames, meaning that he's kind of on a crusade, trying to take over the Land of Shadows as a whole. Because everybody in the Lands of Shadows is kind of talking about they did not deserve to be burned. They ask why they had such a bad fate upon them. And it makes more sense the more you progress through the game. My strategic run for it paid off because I just got the grace, died to this lovely gentleman, and then just decided to continue right where I started. I also decided at this point that my FP was kind of wasted, so I bought the heal spell, which will later be turned into Lord's Heal. I made my way back to the Land of Shadows. Spoiler alert, again, kind of, because I'm just gonna let this clip play and just see the clip. Just see why I like this area so much. Why this area really stuck to me.
O horn-decked beast from higher sphere delivered, take root inside the tower sculpted keepers, and perched within, we beg of thee, rise. Cruelty, woe, and those who plague the tower. Cleanse away the strumpet's fire.
I mean, the clip speaks for itself. If you don't get excited as a Souls player from that, then I don't know what will do it. And the music is just absolutely awesome in this fight. Throughout this entire fight, of course, the first time, I died without pretty much doing nothing, because I like to fight the bosses the first time around on my own, the good old Dark Souls way, where I just try to fight as long as I can. You just kind of get a feel for it. So after fighting the boss a few times, trying a few times, summoning the Mimic Tear, doing all of that, I realized that my Crimson Tears are very weak. They don't really heal a lot. I need pretty much 3 flasks to get back to full HP, which is quite a lot considering I only have 11 heals. And one hit can pretty much get me down to half HP. and get some more sacred tears that I missed. I have them on my other characters, so I knew where to get to off the top of my head. Then I went back into the Land of Shadows and trying to explore the city a bit more before I did the boss. I died a lot during this because I was trying to fight this guy who I defeated a variant of him before, but this version I could not kill. I haven't killed him to this day. No matter what I did, he was just relentless and he kept killing me. I tried fighting him on his own. I tried fighting him just with rivers of blood. I tried fighting him in every single way I could possibly think of. However, it was simply not meant to be. I even found like a little speedrun strategy, I guess if you will, in quotation marks, where if you want to go back from this grace down the tower and don't want to fight the other guy, you can just jump down and then just use any heal spell to just heal you back up and then just move backwards, if you will. It's not really a speedrun strategy, but it is something. After realizing that there is literally nothing of value there and it was just another way to get to the boss, which I did not take. Being disappointed, I went back to the boss and I beat him. Which, believe it or not, I was very sad about. I beat him pretty much in my 4th attempt, and in that attempt, as you can see on screen, I just used the Mimic Tear Rivers of Blood combo just to see if it works, and the bleed absolutely destroyed him. I only got to see his second phase once, and later I went into multiplayer to experience this boss more. It is definitely my favorite boss. However, it did make me realize that Elden Ring has some performance issues, which is our next topic in fact. Elden Ring has a lot of performance issues, at least for me. I have been playing it on my Xbox One, which is where I bought the original game on, because at that time I did not own the PC that I have today, where I make my videos on and do my streaming on. Shameless plug, by the way. So I also naturally bought the DLC on my Xbox instead of replaying the whole game with a different build I had no attachment to at all, or doing it with the same build over again, which I also did not really had any attachment to, because why would I replay the game again on a different account just to get some better performance when I already have the game and spend more money? So I don't know. I heard something about performance issues from other people. I personally think it's because I play on Xbox that I have a lot of lag. This boss was really laggy, and to be honest, all bosses that kind of are fast and fly up into the air and jump a lot, which all of them do, which you will see in a minute, are kind of laggy for me, which is very unfortunate because I kind of have to predict their movements, and their movements don't look as good, especially for this boss, the Divine Beast Dancing Lion. His movements are supposed to be very beautiful because he's dancing in a way, he is performing a form of art, which was something I could not fully experience. So let me know in the comments, definitely, are these performance issues because I play on an older console, or because the game itself is just very laggy? Is it a From Software thing they need to fix? And then, to be honest, we get into boss fights. So more of this footage will go into the multiplayer fact, since I already beat these bosses on my own. However, I did not record this, as I said. Currently, from when I got the idea of even making this video and me playing through the game to get more footage and to just enjoy myself because I want to finish it, is kind of a delay. So what I've experienced and what I'm showing is something that already happened because I'm pretty much almost at the end, I believe. I have gone way farther and have seen way more things than what I'm talking about now. So the next boss, of course, you face, or the first boss you even could have faced, the first main boss, is Renala. I don't want to call her Renala, because that's literally the same name as Renala, of course, the second boss of the main game. So I'm just gonna call her Rena for now, the Twin Moon Knight, just to make it easy, because I cannot really pronounce her name. So Rena, the Twin Moon Knight, is a very, very unique boss, because it can perform both fire and magic damage. Which, if you know, this guy is also trauma, because everybody has problems with this guy. But in this case, imagine you're me. You're fighting this boss, and her moveset is already very tough. She's very aggressive, and her attacks are very fast, because she has pretty much 2 light greatswords, as they're called. Then you go into the second phase, and she just awakens fucking magic and flames. Like, think about that for a moment. She has now long-ranged combos and short-ranged AoE. Getting through her defenses, which are pretty much offense, and finding an opening to strike is very hard. I honestly think this girl right here is harder than Melania. I think this girl is harder than Melania, which is kind of crazy to consider, because this is pretty much the first boss you really have to face. Like, this is the first main required boss you need to fight to get through the DLC. And she is already harder than Melania. I do think there is some point of discussion for this, because you could say Melania is way harder because she heals and her waterfowl dance is god tier impossible to dodge, even though people have done it. I genuinely think from a gameplay point, she is just way harder. Also, the game is designed with the blessings, and you have to collect them to get stronger. You cannot overlevel yourself, which you can do with Melania. You can pretty much overlevel until you're just so powerful that her attacks don't do anything. In that context, I think this boss is way harder than Melania will ever be. Which is crazy, cause yeah, it's just really impressive how one boss in the DLC is already harder than pretty much everything in the base game. And we haven't even talked about Mesmar. I don't really have a lot to say about this boss, to be honest. I think it's a very straightforward fight that comes down to a way of swordplay, if you will, or whatever weapon you use. I use a sword, so of course for me it's swordplay. But it's just how good are you with your weapon or your way of dealing damage that you can dodge her wide range of magic and fire attacks and just get around her perfect blade work. Her blade work is just so aggressive. All of her attacks are long combos that you really need to time very well to dodge, or else you're just dead pretty much. And I think this fight is just pretty much that, a straightforward fight on how good you could dodge and deal with her attacks, and to make the most of your attack that you can actually land. I don't really have a lot to say about her area. It's just a darker version of Rhea Lucaria, if you ask me. I do want to show that one knight with the greatsword that you also have in Rhea Lucaria. I don't have footage from him, but he's on screen right now. I want to say, fuck that guy. We all hate him. His armor is drip and it looks really good. However, this guy was the pain of my existence. I hated him. Everybody hates him. I hope he dies. This is me, future me, who, when I recorded this, I talked about Mesmar, but I did not say that I would talk about Mesmar. I specifically said that I would not talk about him. At this point, I completely beat the game, and I'm just gonna talk about this guy right now. If you want to see my Mesmar glazing session, Maybe I'll make a part 2 if that's desired. I will then also just do the entire DLC with the final boss and talk about that. So enjoy this part. There is really not a lot to say about this boss. You just come to these places, which, by the way, spoiler alert, there are 4 of them. So if you couldn't tell by the name, I'm sorry. But you just walk in and this guy just pulls out a fucking machine gun and just kills you instantly. Like, this guy is probably like the best crossbow user I have ever seen. And the worst part is, he actually fights like a PvP player. I don't play much PvP, or to be honest, none at all unless it's required. But I have played some in the past, and damn, they really got the AI to just play like a PvP player. He dodges your attacks by jumping. He actually has like pretty difficult to follow combos that do a lot of damage. He has a shitload of poise, so it's actually a pretty fun and challenging fight. And out of the 4 of them, I like this one the most because it was by far the hardest. The other ones are like very stunnable and they kind of fight like NPCs. This one really feels he's fighting like an actual human being, which is kind of scary. Also, fun fact, if you have a lot of trouble beating this guy, no worries. I have a great tip that you can instantly beat him. Even though he summons right in front of you, and he looks like a summon that are not made of flesh and blood, you can still make him bleed. I don't know why, and I'm not gonna question why, but you can. In fact, I'm pretty sure all status effects work on him, even though he is a spirit, so it should not work. Do with that information whatever you will. However, I am going to end this video right here. If you want to again see me talk about like the second part of the DLC, kind of more towards the end spoiler territories, or about the side areas, because there is a lot of those, please let me know. And also let me know, what were your funny things upon first entering the DLC? How did your experience go? Did you have any funny deaths, any cool moments, any oh shit, I'm about to be fucked moments? And subscribe for more videos like this. I'll do more, I swear.